Riley Smith is off to such a hot start that he's getting time on the Bruins' second power play unit. Jarome Iginla is still in a slump, and the Swede is back. What does it all mean for Jordan Caron? Welcome to the inaugural edition of Bruins Daily TV. I'm Erika Lee, joined by Tim Rosenthal here at Studio 73 at Suffolk University. Tim, we've got a lot of ground to cover today. It's a busy week and weekend here in Boston.
Yes, for sure. And first off, we should congratulate the Boston Red Sox for advancing to the World Series for a third time in 10 years. And I think, I don't know about you, but I think we've had enough of this championship thing here in Boston.
Well, I can never get sick of championships here in Boston. And of course, the Red Sox are taking on the St. Louis Cardinals again in the World Series for the first time since 2004. And this will be the third time in postseason history that they take on the Cards. So I think they've proven to us that the blood, sweat, and beards are working here in Boston. And they're definitely Boston strong. We know a thing or two about playoff beards, being hockey reporters.
Yes, for sure. And I can only imagine what Kurt Schilling would be like if he had the beard and the bloody sock year in 2004.
Yep, absolutely. But with all of that out of the way, good luck to the Sox in the series. We are hoping for a win. I'm hoping for a sweep personally.
I am too, and would really go back to 2004 and 2007, but I think I should start a Red Sox blog if I want to talk about the Sox going forward.
Absolutely. So we have a lot to talk about today with the Bees here. First of all, let's start off with Riley Smith. I feel like all we do is talk about Riley Smith these days. He wasn't even a centerpiece of the Tyler Seguin trade. It was Louis Eriksson that was the centerpiece, but Riley Smith has really made a name for himself since coming to Boston.
Yeah, it's certainly weird how these trades come out and how they're, as you mentioned, they're sometimes not centerpieces that are involved in a deal, but yet they wind up being the focal point when they're acquired. You certainly look at Chris Kelly a couple of years ago, and he was exactly that. And as a matter of fact, Riley Smith and Chris Kelly started on the third line together. I think Riley started to really shine there, got moved up to the second line when Brad Marchand struggled, and this week he was just on fire. He scored the game winner against Florida, and he also had an assist in the Tampa game as well. So I keep it on the second line. I think he deserves some time on the power play, too.
I think so, too. And I was complaining to you off air last week about how the Bruins power play was looking kind of powerless again. It didn't really look all that different to me after we were told it would be a new look power play this season. So now Claude Julien is really starting to switch things up, and Riley Smith is getting time in that second power play unit playing on the point.
Yeah, I think it's a good move so far. He's certainly one of the faster players I've seen, and that's quite a surprise to me, let alone his production so far this year. So I'm certainly pleased to see him on the point right now. Try a little something different, for sure. I mean, it's early in the year, so this might not necessarily stick per se, but for now I think it's a good move by Claude for the time being.
Absolutely. He's getting time on the right side, spot usually filled by Johnny Boychuk and Dennis Seidenberg. They alternate. So I think we'll see Riley Smith alternating in that spot as well. Claude has already said that he'll be rotating his defensemen, so I don't see why you wouldn't rotate the guys in that spot too.
Yeah, for sure, and especially with Zdeno Chara up front on the power play. I know he's on a different power play spot, but that certainly opens up one more void for Boychuk or Seidenberg to play the point on the power play if David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron were to stay up front as well.
And Smith has experience there too. He played on the point last year with Dallas's affiliate, the Texas Stars. So I think that made Claude Julien's decision to put him there even easier. He had only played a minute 54 on the power play in 7 games this season until Saturday night's game. He played nearly 3 minutes on the power play.
Yeah, Saturday night he definitely looked good. He assisted on Chris Kelly's goal. I forget if it was on the power play or not, but even when he was on the power play, even though when they weren't scoring, he certainly looked good on both ends of the ice. And I think he's also going to see a lot of PK time too as well. So maybe he can be that special team specialist that Brian Ralston was when he was in Boston.
Absolutely. And I know the power play is something that the team has been working on in practice this week. So I'm hoping with the games coming up on Wednesday night as well as this weekend, we'll get to see a stronger power play unit.
It's certainly looked good the last 2 games against Florida and Tampa. I don't know if that's a measuring stick compared to the rest of the league, but it's a starting point, I think, for sure.
Now, there's one guy on this team who, as far as I'm concerned, seems to be underperforming a little bit, and that's Jarome Iginla. So last year he snubs Boston, he goes to Pittsburgh. The season ends, Andrew Ferentz leaves here and convinces him to come to Boston. He gets signed here, he's playing, and so far nothing has happened yet.
Yeah, 0 goals through 7 games. This isn't anything new for Iginla. He's been through goal droughts before, but at the same time, it's definitely a little concerning. You look at what happened last year with the trade of him almost coming in Boston, but snubbing the Bruins on the last minute, so to speak, with that no movement clause and going to Pittsburgh instead. And at the end of the day, the Bruins got what they needed out of it, and that was a trip to the Stanley Cup final over Iginla's Penguins. But you look at it now, I think he's a little uptight about what happened last year. You've certainly seen it early on. But at the same time, I think he kind of struggled when he was with Pittsburgh the first week or so when he was traded last year. And then he's kind of picked up a little bit and it helped them advance to the conference finals. So I'm not too concerned right now, but if it goes if the stretch goes a few more games of him still being scoreless, then I certainly think there's a cause for concern.
I mean, I feel like he's doing everything he should be doing. He's getting his stick on the puck. He set up goals previously in the last 7 games. He just hasn't scored yet. And I think maybe there's this pressure of being Jarome Iginla and being in a new city, as you mentioned, that could potentially be affecting him.
Yeah, well, he's certainly not playing in Calgary, even though they have their, even though, not to disrespect them, they certainly have their loyal fans up in Calgary as well. But here in Boston, it's a hub of hockey. Even though with the Red Sox in the World Series right now, there's certainly a passion for hockey still. The Garden's still sold out every night, contrary to what people might think. So, again, that pressure might get to him early on, but I'm sort of glad he's facing this right now because he can certainly adjust down, and it might take time, but I think he's at an better stage in his career right now to adjust to that kind of pressure.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing that's happened this week is that Carl Soderberg has come back, and he finally made his season debut. He missed all of the first 7 games after suffering an ankle injury. And so we got to see him play on Saturday night. Jordan Caron, the healthy scratch. We watched Jordan Caron play so well. So this is an interesting situation.
Yeah, I could have argued that Brad Marchand should have been the one who was scratched, at least for a game, because he's certainly been struggling early on this season. You look what happened with Milan Lucic last year. He was scratched for a game. He comes back and picks up right where he left off, essentially from a couple seasons ago where he scored 30 goals, and then come playoff time, he was a beast with David Krejci and Nathan Horton. I could have seen the same circumstance for Marchand. Maybe he's still early in the season, and maybe he just needs to get some third-line time, but I'm certainly surprised that Caron was the one who was scratched.
And Soderberg's case is so interesting because he has played center for all of his career until getting to Boston, and now he's playing wing on the right side because the team wants him in the lineup. But this creates a problem, of course, as we mentioned, for Jordan Caron, who's been playing so well. He played the first 7 games of the season so well that it's tough to just seat him when Brad Marchand's having such a difficult time.
And Soderberg's case is similar to Tyler Seguin when he first came to the NHL. He's a natural center all throughout junior until he got moved to wing here in Boston. Same case with Soderberg. All his career, as you mentioned, he was a center in Sweden, and now he's being moved to win here in Boston. I think there's a little adjustment to that, I'll be honest with you, because centers are so used to being two-way players, so used to taking face-offs, so used to taking beating on each of those lines. So that's certainly, I think, going to be an adjustment for Soderberg.
And Soderberg in the first game, he didn't have any shots on goal, no attempts either, but he did appear to be skating really well. Mm-hmm. So that's always encouraging after coming back from an ankle injury. And
that's one of the advantages Soderberg has. Not only is he big, he's also fast. And he's also physical. And last year we only got a brief look, and we're only getting a brief look right now. But if he can play to his potential, I think he can be one of the best power forwards, second, third line power forwards in the league.
Definitely. And I think we'll see, we talked a little bit about off air about the 7 defensemen that Claude Julien has, 7 healthy guys that he can rotate in this lineup. And you may see him do that with a guy like Jordan Caron, who's available and skating and playing so well when you have the option of playing either him or Soderberg.
It doesn't hurt to have extra players on your team to either rotate in or out of the lineup, have someone fill in via injury, or if they need to showcase someone for a trade. I think that's Claude Julien certainly has a good hand that he's dealt with right now.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll introduce you to our first weekly segment. Plus, we've got a special invitation for you. That's next on Bruins Daily TV. We're back on Bruins Daily TV. I'm Erika Lee, joined by Tim Rosenthal. Tim, I think it's just about time we introduce our first weekly segment.
I think now's the perfect time to do so myself.
Each week here on Bruins Daily TV, Tim and I are going to drop the gloves. Okay, not literally, but we will knock around some hot topics that the Bees are facing each week. As I mentioned, this week Tim and I will face off, but be sure to check in weekly since we're hoping to have some special guests here with us to drop the gloves throughout the season. Tim, you ready?
Bring it on.
All right, here we go. Who will get their first goal first, Jarome Iginla or Carl Soderberg?
Jarome Iginla is so close to getting his first goal. He got robbed by Tim Thomas, vintage Tim Thomas, I might add, against Florida. And he's doing all the little things right anyway. He's just not scoring. And 7 games in, he's still scoreless. He's been through this before in his career. He's going to get that elusive first goal here in Boston sooner or later and get the big monkey off his back.
Well, I'm going to take Soderberg. I think he skated so well on Saturday night. I know we've only seen him in 1 game so far, but I feel like he's ready to play here in Boston. He's finally here. He's finally played in his first regular season game, and I think he's ready to score his first goal.
Sooner rather than later, it'll come for Soderberg, just not before Jarome Iginla.
I don't know about that. I think we'll have a chance to see in these 2 games this weekend whether or not Soderberg will have a goal before Iginla does.
It's going to be Iginla, you know that.
I don't know. I think it's Soderberg. I'm taking him.
Okay.
No matter what you say.
Be that way.
All right, so our second topic, the Bruins are going to face off with their first Western Conference Pacific opponent, the San Jose Sharks, this week. They've already seen 1 Western Conference opponent so far this year, but who's going to be their toughest opponent in the Western Conference this season?
I think it's going to be Thursday night, the San Jose Sharks, at least during the regular season, it's going to be. Yeah, they might have older veterans than Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, Brent Burns, Dan Boyle, who's on injury reserve right now, but they have a solid young core as well. Logan Couture, Thomas Hertl had a coming out party last week with his 4-goal performance. Thankfully, Joe Thornton did not score 4 goals. I would hate to see that goal celebration from him. But overall, the Sharks are just a very solid team again this year. They've been built for the regular season anyway, and Antti Niemi's playing his best hockey of his career right now.
As good as San Jose is, and of course they're still undefeated this season, I'm going to go with Colorado. The Bruins have already lost to the Avalanche once this year, and their goaltending has been outstanding. They only have 1 loss under their belt, and with Patrick Raw as their energetic coach, I don't really see them having a difficult time this year, and I see the Bees having a little trouble against them.
And the West is certainly another strong conference this year. There's no denying that. And Colorado and San Jose are going to be 2 of the top teams, I think, going forward. Also, don't forget Chicago and St. Louis in the Central. And those are the 2 strongest teams out West, I think. And you also have the Canes as well.
I agree with you. I think they're both going to be excellent teams this year as well, but I'm still taking Colorado.
I'm still taking San Jose
All
for
right.
now.
For now. We can always change our answers. It's still early in the season.
Oh, of course. We're going to. You know that.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to introduce our last topic this week, which is perhaps my favorite topic. Jaromir Jagr is making his return to the TD Garden on Saturday night when the winless Devils come up to face off with the Bruins. What is your favorite Jagr moment when he was in the Spoke Bee last year?
He's a future hockey Hall of Famer, and he's done a lot during his career. But in Boston, he did 0, nothing, zip, nada. I don't remember anything, even during the Stanley Cup. The end.
Well, I have to disagree. His locker room moments are some of my favorite. He was always making jokes with the media, and so I have great memories of that with him. But my favorite hockey memory of him was in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final when he hit the crossbar and he let out that primal scream that filled the United Center and every TV in every home that was watching the Stanley Cup Final. He was so snake bitten. He wanted it so bad because he hadn't scored a goal in the postseason, and he tries so hard, and so that's my favorite Jágr moment from last year.
Points for trying, and that was the ultimate gift. But you know what? He still did nothing in Boston.
Well, he's succeeding in New Jersey so far this year, so we'll see. Maybe we'll have a favorite moment from Saturday night when he's back here.
Maybe he'll give us a salute, finally, that we deserve.
It's possible. I'm looking forward to it. Well, that's going to conclude our Drop the Glove segment this week. I don't know about you, but I love that.
Yeah, I do too. I think that our viewers are really going to look forward to next week when we channel our inner Anchorman characters.
Don't give up our Halloween costumes yet. Shh. All right. Well, unfortunately, I think we're up against time here. But before we go, Tim and I have an invitation for you. So if you even sort of like hockey and you call yourself a Bruins fan, or if you just want to enjoy a night out in Boston, then you cannot miss the 3rd annual Frosted Fall Benefit presented by Stinky Socks Hockey and BruinsDaily.com, sponsored by Sam Adams. Be sure to join us on Friday, November 8th at the Cask and Flagon, along with special guests Renee Rancourt, Bob Sweeney, Lyndon Byers, the Bruins Ice Girls, and more to be announced. With performances by 80s cover band Fast Times, a silent auction, and so much more, net proceeds benefit the Boston Bruins Foundation. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
I assume you want me to read off the teleprompter right now like Ron Burgundy?
Yes.
Okay, for more information on to purchase tickets, visit fundraise.com/FF, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Bruins Daily, and of course, visit BruinsDaily.com.
Sadly, I think it's time for us to get out of here, unfortunately. So for Tim Rosenthal and all of us here at Studio 73 at Suffolk University, I'm Erika Lee, and we'll see you next week on Bruins Daily TV.
BruinsDaily.com, your source for Bruins news, commentary, and analysis.